Hello, guys. It's just me today.
Hello!
So, we wanted to share with you guys. Actually, just made this puppet theater, and Arya just sewed these curtains on a sewing machine.
I'm going to show you my puppet I made. I want to make my dad.
So, in the meantime, I'm going to share with you guys. So recently, Arya, she authored and illustrated her own book. And she put out, we made a video. She asked me, this is her puppets that she made from socks.
This is my dad. He looks pretty funny with this.
Hello.
You can actually stick your hands in there, but I'm not going to let you do that.
Yeah. So she asked to write her book, and then she asked me, can you help me print out my book, and I want to sell it. This is what I want to do. And the reason why I wanted to make this video, it's because it's not just a kid, a 5-year-old who decided that all of a sudden, she's going to draw something. And then I was like, oh, it's a great idea to monetize my daughter and really make money out of the things that she makes, because it was totally different. 1 second. So I wanted to give a little bit of the background on that. And to explain, Arya, for the past year, has been really into building, into anything that has to do with how do you build a home, what does it take to build a home, what are the different architectures all over the world. And so we started learning and took out that window, that door per se, and we started exploring different countries, things that they have invented, things that they have come up with, things they've copied and made better in certain countries. And so when we were learning about China, we learned that they were one of the first cultures to start to create what?
Bumps.
Paper.
But they only invented the bumpy. This is bumpy, but the next one you're gonna see is not bumpy.
Right. So what we did was, when we learned about China early in January, we just kind of made paper just to make the paper. And then Arya said, well, since we have this paper, she's like, I really want to write a book. Let's write a book. And this was her idea. It wasn't like I was like, oh, we made paper, so now let's go and write a book. Arya, what would you like to write? It was all her, like, and because in this moment she was really into her violin, she created this girl called Violin Girl Chinya, and then she illustrated her own book, and then she wrote her own book. This is really hilarious, this book, and this is using paper that we made. So and then I just kind of opened holes and then just kind of did this, but we didn't really talk about how to put the pages together. This was just so that I can keep all the pages together that she made.
It actually kind of broke.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read it.
So then, fast forward, we learn about different countries, and right now we're in Greece, but the last country we learned about was Italy, and then we dived a little bit into the Romans and a lot of their architecture, because they have so much to offer to the world. We learned that they were one of the people, one of the cultures that began to bind books together so that they weren't in scrolls. And so I was like, oh, cool. So, the Chinese invented the paper, and then the Romans kind of took that in, and to make it easier, the Romans, in order to make it easier for them, they kind of binded it together so it was easier to look through the book, which we still use today. So then Arya said, oh, well, that's cool. You know what? Why don't I print my own book and then have it bind together? I was like, that would be a great idea. And then she said, well, I'm going to then want to sell it. And I said, okay. Now, she has seen me, and she always hears me selling. She hears other people talk about selling. And so this is a vocabulary that she has very fluently within her. So she said, okay, I want you to print it. So I thought it was kind of like, okay, cool. Yeah, like I'll print it on the printer and then I'll give it to you. I'll staple it. She said, no. I want it to be a real book, and I want to sell it to people. So I need you to actually print it. And I was like, okay. She said, I also want to set up a booth, and I want to go and spend the day in front of a table selling people my book. And I was like, okay, well, she's going a different way now. So I kind of, left it like that for a week. And then a week later, she's like, hey, did you already get the books? And I was like, oh, she was serious. So I get on work and I print the books. She gets the books. She's super excited. And then she's like, okay, so we got to set up the booth and then we have to start selling the book. And I was like, okay, well, let's see what available events are around. So here where we live, they actually have this thing called the Kids Business Fair. They used to have it last year. They haven't started it, but they have one nearby coming up in November. So we're going to be doing that one. And then
I'm showing her
your babies.
her,
Yeah.
her. This is her jammy and this is her clothing.
Oh, okay. So then she said, okay. So I said, well, if you want to, she said, okay, let's sell it to all of my friends. I said, well, the fastest way to do it, let's just do a video. So she's like, okay. So she puts her video together. She talks about it and then she puts it online and she sells how many copies? 8 copies of it.
8 copies.
And she was really, no, she sold 7 copies.
Yeah.
So then she then is like, okay, well, I'm
sorry, you guys. She's losing her marbles today.
So she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep selling my books. So we go and in the neighborhood we start going into people's houses and asking, he's saying, hey, she wrote this book, she authored this book, she illustrated this book, and it's for sale and so forth. And then she goes into one of the neighbors and she completely sells the neighbor on it. And the neighbor's like, okay, I'm getting a copy. I have a nephew that can use it. And it was so amazing. Where's the thing? Okay, there it is. and to see her body, the way that it changed, the way that it behaved. I don't know if you've ever seen like a child when they get excited. It's specifically like, if they're going somewhere, they get a toy, then there's just this kind of excitement, but it's like that short-lived excitement. With this one, when she on her own went and she sold it and the person said, I'm buying it from you, she gave the book, she did a transaction, her whole body lit up. Okay. Her whole body lit up. And she was like, oh, mommy, I'm so proud of myself. I just sold my first book. I just did it. I did it. I sold it. I did it.
I sold it. Look at me, mommy. I'm so excited.
Yeah. And I was like, I was taken back because I have seen my daughter be excited before, but this was a whole nother level. This was confidence in the making. This was it was just a self excitement per se, where it's not like, oh, I'm gonna get a toy, or I'm gonna do this thing, or I did this activity, or it was like, I did it. That was all me. And it was something to watch, to really just stand there and say, wow, that just happened. She just did that. It was so amazing. So anyways, this is her book. It's called Violin Girl Chinia and Her Favorite Toy. This is the second series from where did the other one go? This is the second book from the Violin Girl Chinia series, because the first book was written when we learned about paper, and this one is now the one that she wrote when we learned about binding paper. And she and just kind of put it together, illustrated it, and then just said, hey, I need your help. And that was the other thing that's really important is that it wasn't an idea. It wasn't just an idea that stayed in her head. It wasn't just like, it would be cool to do this. It was like, hey, did you print the books yet? Hey, I want to sell them. Hey, are you doing this? Can you help me? And it was like, this is my vision. This is what I want to do. I need your help because there's a limitation of using online resources, ordering, paying, like those little things. But she authored it. She came up with the illustrations, what the sequence was going to be, the what is it called? The idea in the back to have children now create their own story, like really supporting them, saying, I'm not the only one that can do this. You can do this too. And then she's like, share it with me. Share me your story, what you come up with. That's amazing, because at no point was I saying, hey, you need to write this book. Hey, let's teach you how to make some money. She was saying, this is my vision. I need to execute it. You have to help me. And we did it, and here we are. So I really wanted to share that because it wasn't just about a kid who drew some pictures and then I was the one that said, hey, yeah, let's make some money out of that. It was her pushing me every step of the way, saying, this is what I want to do. This is my vision, and I need your help to execute it. And now that's the end of our story. And now we're going to close the curtains.
Because we're going to go back to bed. We're sleeping.
And the show is over.
Yeah, the show is over.
Bye. Bye.